Hey there! I think I've reached that stage of life that I'll call the early codger phase. I'm about 60. I'm kind of an older Gen X guy, and I get a little cranky sometimes and want to tell the next generation and the one after how things ought to be. The thing I want to talk about today is your first job, your foundational job. Your first job can end up teaching you 80% of everything you'll ever need to know about work, and in some aspects, your whole life in general. The job where you learn most of your hard skills, as well as soft skills, relationships with coworkers, relationships with your manager, relationships with customers, and so forth. My first job, as you'll see, was at a Godfather's Pizza in Seattle, Washington. And I'll just let the video go from here. The Godfather in the commercials, he used to say something, "I got a pizza you can't refuse." But more than that, looking back, I think maybe this fictional character was more real than I thought. He's like a mentor. He's like my grandpa, imparting wisdom, experience, lessons, advice. And so I want to pass some of that along to you. Basic foundational work skills. At 20 years old, this is the first time I'd really ever used a mop, a broom, rags, chemicals. I had to date things like the salad bar items that we would put on the cart and bring out to the salad bar, and then we'd have to circulate it back into the cooler every night. And we'd have to use masking tape and Sharpies. Might have been magic markers back then. But anyway, we learned how all the safe food practices, the 3-sink process. Learn never place knives sticking up out of the sink, because you could put your hand in the water and then there's all this red stuff, blood, all throughout the water. We've got that on a training video at Godfather's. Unforgettable. Another value of your very first job, and why you ought to take it really seriously, is you learn a lot of soft skills. By soft, I mean relationship skills, relationships with your coworkers, relationships with your manager, relationships with the corporate manager who comes in occasionally, and boy, you really have to learn how to phrase your words and, know what to do with your facial language, your body language, all that kind of stuff. That later in life, a lot of that is just like breathing. You take it for granted. You've learned it over and over and over unconsciously. But first job, you actually really have to think about how this works. Of course, you also get to learn how to work with the public, with perfect and very imperfect, at times, strangers. If they come up to the counter, they come up to the cash register, you get them on the phone, that you learn how to read people. You read your coworker, their mood, or you also read yourself. Like, am I coming across too strong, too much salt, too much sour, when I should be a little more sugary and sweet when I'm giving advice or offering a suggestion or whatever it might be. The same with the manager. You learn how to read what mood are they in, what are their expectations, where is their heart, where is their brain. Another thing, interpersonal soft skills. Humor. I think it was probably at my first W-2 job, with everybody in uniform being all serious. This is where I really learned to make other people laugh and myself laugh, because the stress gets so intense with back of the house kind of work. You got to have somebody to break the tension, and somehow that became me, a bit of a clown. I also was one of the guys to bring in the cassette tapes to get the boombox going in the morning before all the guests came in. They had the jukebox out there in the pizza lobby to listen to Borderline and Starbright by Madonna, or We Gotta Get Out of This Place by the Animals. We love playing that late at night, believe me. If you get pretty dang good at that when you're 17, 18, 19, it's going to carry you through all your work, wherever you end up, however high or low or fancy or simple. I promise, because it's happened to me. If I were to turn in an application today at the hotel I work at, any job, I would mention Godfather's Pizza 1986 to 1989. There's no question about it. So other soft skills you learn besides interpersonal with guests and with coworkers is stuff like time management. You learn pretty quickly as you go into your 4 or 5 hour part-time shift how long can I spend on making each pizza shell. I need to get 20 of these things stacked up by 9 a.m. and a big plastic bag over it, masking tape, a Sharpie, the date. And I got to have like 4 of these guys, like smalls, medium, large, extra large. They all got to get into the walk-in cooler by 9, 10 o'clock and prep for lunch. Anything left over gets to go to dinner. And there's just, you living at home, unless you're on a ranch or something like that, grew up on a farm, there may not be a lot of call for learning how to be super efficient on the job. So I'm very grateful for my pizza restaurant job for that reason. And also you learn how to balance your personal life, your college life with your work life and how much to put into each one of those. I almost forgot, you also learn about money. The first time I ever had to worry about taxes, and all I had to do was that 1040 form, the easy form. 1 sheet of paper. I could be done in 25 minutes. But I learned, taxes. I thought my $6.50 an hour wage was pretty good until I saw how much they were taking out of my checks. But anyway, you also learn how to budget. Back then, I had an apartment, cost $365 a month, 1 bedroom, in a premier Seattle location on Capitol Hill. And I remember writing out the budget, the electricity, the water, food, rent, all that stuff. And I finally learned how to put it down in writing, what I was spending and how much I was going to need to have a little margin at the end of the month. Stuff I never had to do much of when I was living at home with the parents and the cat. So thank you, old Godfather in the sky, for giving me a job that, if I were to be offered it again, I would certainly not refuse.